We still needed to get more voter turnout than had happened in the early voting time period, and we're putting these up. We bought 50,000 of these, and we got over 40,000 out. People were doing this non-stop for about 6 weeks, and they loved it. Some people just, give me another pack of lid sticks. Give me another pack of lid sticks. So, fundraising committee, I would highly suggest you find some money, make some money, figure out how many your targets would be in your areas for municipal, give it a try. You can get so many people engaged doing this because all they do is walk around and put things on. And what we found, our hope was that they would take it off their door and they would put it on their refrigerator. And what we heard, I went to a friend of my wife's who was having a baby shower, and so I went, and I didn't know that we put one on her door. I didn't know anything about that. And she pulled it out and said, yeah, I'm saving it. Heather told me about this and I'm saving it. People all around were saying thank you. We saw them at the polls. This is information that we needed. We didn't know where to vote. So we're going to actually do 2 lit sticks, 2 pages of lit sticks for the municipal elections. We're going to do the same information, where, when to vote, and then we're going to do information on a scoring system of our municipal candidates with, this is our logo. We're going to do like 1 if they're semi-progressive and 5 of them if they're super progressive based on scoring that we're doing on a forum. So, because I think that people don't know, it's like nonpartisan, so they don't know, well, if they vote, we want to make sure they kind of vote in the right way, right? So, this is something. Yeah, well, it's not really nonpartisan, but you know what I mean. So anyway, that's our story. That's what we've done. I am super impressed with the turnout, and I've heard just amazing things about your group and what you're doing, and we want to work with you in any way you can, any way that we can. So thank you guys for having me out.
No, so I don't have an inside voice either, but so the absolute most critical problem every single, especially first-time candidates run into, is that the elephant in the room is determine how to access van. It's the hardest because the party gets real wonky about who they give access to, and van's kind of controlled by Austin, and yada yada yada. So you get somebody that says, I'm going to run for city council, they go sign up, they don't talk to anybody first, and then all of a sudden they're playing that game of, I can only go and walk and target so many voters. I want to get access to the voters that, I need that information. Getting access to it, getting access to quality information, getting the data back in and everything, that is the hardest thing that most of our first-time candidates face. What are you guys doing to address that specific issue of getting quality data to all the lower-level candidates?
Yeah, that's a big question. Yeah. So from the data perspective, right, all we really have to work with is van, right? That's where we have to start with. My take on this, though, is Republicans, from a data perspective, have spent millions. I don't even know how many, maybe billions, I don't know. Tons of money on cleaning up their data, right? They spend millions and millions. We don't do that as Democrats. But what we have to start doing, and what we are doing, is we are starting to have people, especially in Texas, that can do that. And so it's very, very important that we take our data, we put it back into van, or we keep it and use it over and over and over again, election cycle after election cycle. That's the best that we can do, right? We have van, that's all we have. There's some other voter databases, whatever, Howard Dean's creating one, I don't know, right? Are those going to be better? We don't really know, but all we know is what we have to work with. But I would make sure that you are using it as a group, right? Does your group have van access as a group? No. So there's precinct chairs in here, right?
Right.
Okay, so precinct chairs have access for their precinct. Do the House District coordinators have for your... Okay, all right. So here's the thing that, for me, I don't understand, right? And we've got to figure out how to change this. We're all on the same team. And we all, in my opinion, need to be able to have access to a van or access through somewhere to get information to do what we need to do. And we, as activists, need to keep pushing for that, right? We're all on the same team. We all want to help. But if we say only this club of people gets access to van, then we can only do as much as those people want to do, right? It's the same thing as the snowflake model. We have to trust, we have to encourage, we have to let go of some things so more things can happen. And I see shaking of the heads, and I see a lot of things, but we've got to change that. We have to empower people to do things. If you guys don't have access, then we can work with other organizations to get you access, right, to do
Tarrant
things.
Together has van access.
Tarrant Together has van access. What's your policy on giving it to organizers?
We're gonna have to. We're not sure yet. We'll get with you on that.
Let's talk.
We'll get with you. Yeah.
You're eventually going to run into this is a campaign contribution problem.
Excuse me?
We've already talked about that.
Okay.
Spreadsheet of every single voter in Tarrant County, which way they voted in the last 10 years, and you get all your data in a giant spreadsheet, and you just work on that. It's much easier to do.
I do not do that too, it's just a thing, but it's something difficult to get that data back into the van system.
Well, and see, that's the thing from my perspective, right?
Just do it. Just do it. It's up to date. It's within 10 days after election, you get the up-to-date information.
From where?
The election.
Oh, from the disc on the county elections? Yeah, yeah.
Disc, or you will send it to you online.
We like to support our Democratic Party.
So, this is something that we're really not going to solve right now. All I can do is give you my perspective, right? And right. We've gone round and round about this issue, right? We've taken the information from the county and we've put it into a spreadsheet, right? And what we do then is we have that spreadsheet on a Google Drive, and then we say, here, precinct organizers or precinct chairs, when you go talk to somebody, then here's a list. If we get new people, let's put them on the list. But then if I go away, then all that information goes away. So overall, there has to be a new way that we're doing this all across. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and if I could add, because Brian and I are sort of in van every day, there's a lot of new things that have just come out with van. One of them is distributed canvassing. If you just want a block walk,
Yep.
and all you have to do is, and the Texas Democratic Party does this, they have a document out there, as long as you have the mobile app minivan, you don't need to necessarily have full-on van access. Based on your zip code or your location, it'll give you 50 houses to walk or 50 phone calls to make.
And here's the thing with that, and I think that's a really good feature in van. The thing is, if you're an organizer and you're working to build a team in precincts, right, you have to be able to get back to that information, right? And so it goes back to being able to store that information so you know, I talked to this person and they want to be part of my team to keep reaching out. So you either have to be able to get back to that information or you have to start taking track of it and their email and all that somewhere separate. So the whole point of this is, and I think what you're getting at, is, yeah, there's a bigger problem with data, and we as Democrats and we as Texas Democrats have to solve that in some way. But what I would do as a group here, if everyone who wants access doesn't have access to van, then as the NetDems group, that needs to be a big focus on how to make that happen, because there's enough manpower in this room right here to triple the size within 2 to 3 months if everybody has access and there's a clear defined plan to reach out and we're all doing it together. But if we hoard it, it's not going to work, guys. We have to get out there. So let's try a different question, because I know we could go on and on and on about that. Anybody else?
Yes, I would like to invite everybody on Thursday morning at 8:30 to All About Shaw. Paula Eden's group is there, and we will be doing postcards for Ina next in South Lake for City Council next week. And so please start on the lower level, and you will find a very, very nice group of Democrats at All About Shaw.
Postcards for Ina, right? Awesome.
Yes.
Any other questions for
I have
Kristy?
one question. As far as people who reside in apartments,
Uh-huh.
what did you guys come up with as far as combating that problem?
Yeah, so her question was about apartment dwellers, and that's tough, right? You guys know heard of the Village in Dallas? It's a group of a bunch of apartments. We had like a knockdown drag out with our precinct organizers there and the owners, the property manager, Lincoln Properties. So it's a tough question, right? The two ways that we're working on, well, there's kind of three ways. We know that you have two types of apartments, ones that are gated, ones that aren't gated, right? The ones that aren't gated, we're going to start working, 2 to 3 months before the election. There's no real reason at this point to work it this far out because it's so transient, right? We are going to do some voter registration type of activities where we, on a weekend day, sit out and catch people going in and out and see if we can get people involved that way. And then as far as ones that are gated, we just work really hard to find somebody inside who can start working on getting building captains. So instead of like block captains or precinct organizers, we work on getting a building captain because at least they can go in. And then if it, we've been known to sneak in too, and we do that. But we don't make the people who live there do it because they, could get kicked out. So anyway, all right, sorry, Dan.
That's okay. Thank you. Everybody give a hand to Kristy, our wonderful speaker. Thank you, and I appreciate everybody. Kind of went a little late, and I appreciate everybody's patience. Kathleen, keep it very short.
Very short. There's 200 voter registration application forms at the desk. Take a few. Just slip them in your pocket.
These are the mail-in ones?
That's right. They're mail-in ones. You just give them to people and they mail them themselves. Look for 18-year-olds. Look for people who've changed their name or some change in status. Look for people who moved. And look for people you don't recognize that are new. And let's go get them.
All right, thank you, Kathleen. So again, if you want to take any of these mail-in voter registration cards, feel free. And you guys, thank you so much for coming, and we'll see you in March.